Right. Well, a monomial is a number. It is a variable. Or the product of a number and variable. Now remember, the variable can be written as, up to a power and so forth. So let's go and look at, some examples of monomials. Obviously, you could have the number 3. You could have negative x to the 7th. Another example would be 2x squared. Those are all examples of monomials. Does anybody have any questions about understanding what a monomial is? OK. Now, let's get into what are some things that are not monomials, or at least in the definition of monomials. Monomials cannot have, monomials cannot have rational exponents. So therefore, in a non-example, you cannot have x to the 1/2 power, or the square root of x. If you guys remember from Algebra 2, a lot of times what we dealt with was the square root and rational exponents. And when we worked on them, what we discussed is anytime you have a rational exponent, that's kind of the same thing as like taking the root. The next thing is we cannot have negative exponents, or exponents that are in the denominator. So anytime that you guys see an exponent that's in the denominator, or you see a negative exponent, please note that it is not a monomial. All right. And then our last example is monomials are only the product of a number and a variable. You cannot have multiple you can't have your variable multiplied by different variables. So for instance, I can't have x squared times y. That is not going to be in our formal definition that we're going to use for polynomials and monomials. You can't have multiple variables multiplied by one another. OK? So that is our definition of monomial.